Hello and welcome to a new video about the Mercury retrograde in Leo at 4 degrees, and that's going to happen around the 7th, the 8th, the 9th of July, depending on where you live. And this retrograde goes back into Leo, so 4 degrees, 3 degrees, 3 degrees. I love that. I love that band, 3 degrees. And do we need a bit of air and a bit of enjoyment and a bit of fun lately with all these things going on in the heavens? As I was saying, this retrograde goes back into the beginning of Leo and then goes back into Cancer, 29 degrees, 28, up until 23 degrees of Cancer. And then it goes direct again, and that will be on the 2nd of August. And then it's out of its shadow period at the 15th of August. So these are the details, because I want to get it over with these details, because I want to go towards what this is all about. A Mercury retrograde isn't always that intense as the Mercury retrograde that we are going to have now. Why? Because you can't see. Actually, I was doubting about the title of this video. Do I call it Mercury retrograde, or do I call it a weekly horoscope, or do I call it the Mercury retrograde in the midst of the lunar eclipse as well? What do I do? I decided to name it the Mercury retrograde because it's a Mercury retrograde that has its energy, but you need to see it as the whole picture. So, and in the whole picture, I mean, what else is going on whilst this Mercury retrograde is going on? So this video is about in general, what is going on in general. And then I go towards either a second video or in the same video for the 12 signs. Very intense month. So July is the most intense month of the year, because eclipses are happening, because the Mercury retrograde is happening. And the Mercury retrograde is also, whilst Mars is also going on together with Mars in Leo, and it squares up to Uranus. So a lot of changes going on, so to speak. And what does it all mean? A Mercury retrograde is certainly about retrospective, about standing still, about revisiting things and all of that, yes. But this one is slightly different again, because it jumps over Mars. So when Mercury goes stationary at 4 degrees of Leo, Mars is there as well. So it's going to jump over Mars and squaring up, not exactly, but squaring up to Uranus. So let's break that down first and foremost. That means that there is a lot of energy. There's a lot of, you could say, it's not bad or good. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in saying bad or good, because what is for one person good is for another bad, etc., etc. We all have a different perspective. But the energy is, in a neutral way, is very volatile, is very fast, and is very, I want to have some action here and I'm done with it. You could say a Mars in a square to Uranus. When people have that natally, or a Mercury in a square to Uranus, these are people that are quite rebellious when it comes to their own thinking, their own doing. It's like my way or the highway. And that is what it is, a square is always tension. So this energy is going on at the moment. So when you are having, also in the midst of these eclipses, some decisions to make that you say, I've had it, whether it is a relationship that you're saying, I can't take this anymore, I've been building up and building up. I've been suppressing my Mars. I've been suppressing my actions, suppressing my speech. Then this is gonna blow up, so to speak, especially when this activates your chart. Okay, these are general horoscopes, so not everyone. If you have planets around, let's say 4, 5, 6 degrees of Leo, Scorpio, what are the other signs? Scorpio, Taurus, And Aquarius, you will feel it the most, you know, round about, let's say 2 up until 7, 8 degrees of them. So this is this good or bad? It's not good or bad. It's what you do with it. So maybe you are in a situation that you're saying, hey, I've had enough of this. This employer is just trying to burn me out. This employer is pushing me, and I'm saying, no, this is enough. I'm not doing 3 jobs in 1 job. This can be the moment that you're saying, you know what? You know, that kind of attitude. It's in a negative negative explanation, you could say this is puberty energy. In a positive way, you could say this is breaking free. It depends on the situation. It's different for everyone. So when is it good? When is it bad? You know, sometimes things need to blow up in order to change. But so not for everyone it's going to be blowed up. It depends on your situation. But for those of you who lack a little bit of courage, who have been in that situation of maybe years and years and years being in a relationship where you give and you get 0 return, then maybe now is indeed the time where you're going to have you know, Leo is also energy of the unique self, and where you're going to say, you know, enough is enough and I break free. So it's really, if you really want to know what's going on, it's you know, astrology is not for these general horoscopes, but you have to look at it at yourself when you know astrology, and otherwise ask one to know for sure. But I know that a lot of people are learning astrology, which is fantastic, and that's why I'm doing this video to explain this. So what is the energy between now? So I'm recording this on the 7th of July, but it goes onwards, you know, the next couple of weeks. So especially another peak is not only tomorrow when you know, the 78th of July, when the Mercury goes retrograde, but also on the 16th of July when we will have as well a lunar eclipse. So it's all in the midst of that, which is also a story that is going on. So as so many things are going on at the same time, it is that a lot of people will have something going on in their chart. It's either the energy of the Mercury retrograde, or it's either the energy of the eclipse, or it's both even. So that's why so many people are having quite intense times at the moment. But they're there for a reason. They're there to clear the air. They're there for new things coming in, and so that we that we are prepared this. But how do you prepare? You know, astrology can only give you some details of what's going on in the heavens, what's the weather forecast. But I want to go a bit further. I want to go a bit like, okay, what as advice, what can you give as a wise, hopefully wise advice to go through these changes who are coming so quickly, one after one. We had the eclipse at the 2nd of July, which was like a big bang, you know, for a lot of people. And repetition of things that were going on in January. And also the end of this year, December and January next year, we're going to have still the eclipses. So what I'm trying to say is it's all linked here. It's not just those separate stories. And even how difficult this is to all mix it together, I still want to try. I still want to try and do this. But the advice, you know, it's also wise advice during, it's one thing to know your astrology, but it's also another thing to be wise and out of experience, out of not only your own life, but what is going on in the world, and having a look at how to deal best with these energies, because these energies are there. We cannot throw them away. We cannot put the planets different. We cannot say, okay, Mars square Uranus. I don't want this. We're going to put Mars in another position. That would be God, of course. And that's not what it is. So First advice for me is to see, because for a lot of people this is going to be freeing up energy for sure. For a lot of people, although it's a bit crisis-like, especially also with the eclipse on the 16th, it's very crisis energy there because Pluto is involved. But crisis always gives a possibility for a new start and for making changes, especially when we have been waiting way too long to do something. So it all depends on what you've done before. So what to do, first of all, is to ground, with these energies, this weather forecast, that is what it is. I mean, it is what it is, Mars in a square to Uranus, it means we have to break free, or things have to break free, things have to explode, we have to speak our truth, etc., etc. You want to do it as nice as you can, but that's not always possible. So always the advice that I think most astrologers will give you when there is Uranus energy, it is grounding yourself. And grounding yourself means with the feet on the ground, doing grounding stuff, so that whatever happens, that you stay calm and that you have your calm. Because a positive way, for instance, of people in their charts having so much Uranus energy, they are like fire people who work in the ER. They also have a very strong Uranus, often with Mars either and with Mercury. So it's not all that bad. It's being able to act very quickly with new circumstances. But then you have to have a good Saturn, or at least good maturity. Otherwise, you won't make it. And that's why I'm saying this here with all this Uranus. We can't escape from it, but it's important to stay mature and to be grounded and to be solid and not let ourselves put the ground from under our feet. So to stay calm and to keep it cool, And how do you do that? By seeing that there is a bigger picture, that there is that things are as they should be, which is very difficult, very easy when good things happen to you, but not so good things. I mean, it's not easy to say, oh yes, my friend died and this is something that needs to happen. Life isn't always easy. But with these Uranus transits, what can help is definitely grounding yourself, is definitely saying this is a higher this is, bigger than me. And I'll trust that, and that is certainly a very positive thing to do. Another thing that is very positive is indeed grounding yourself, is indeed making sure that you have enough sleep, that you drink enough water, that you, the regularities, very, very important, that you can. So although you don't have control about what Uranus and Mars is doing, that you still have some feeling of control. And that you can keep up with the changes. So this can help as well. And I'm going to, for every sign, there is help. So the good news about all these drastic changes, there is absolutely as many changes as they are, the help that we're getting is as big as well. And that is very positive. Because, why is that? When this square is happening here with Mars and Mercury and Uranus, there is at the same time happening a trine to Chiron. So again, I'll break it down for every sign, but in general, that means there's healing going on in the midst of all these chaos and of all these changes. There is absolutely healing going on. So going through the pain gives healing, for sure. So that's a very positive thing. And on the other hand, at the moment, so there are two key dates, so to speak, the 7th and the 8th of July, and then around the 15th, 16th, 17th of July. These are two big dates. The date that I just described has to do with the Chiron, has to do with the big changes, but healing energy. The date of the 16th has to do more with, decision making, things that, because of something going on, events going on, eclipses, Pluto, it's very crisis prone as well. but because of events are going on, decisions need to be made. But at the same time, we have a fantastic trine between Venus and Neptune. So there is help there from, depending on your chart, either help from friends or help from work or whatever it is. I'll break it down. I'm gonna break it down in another video so I can have the full video there for every sign, what it all means. So you see, very exciting times, a very intense time, but at the same time, very helpful times. Oh, praying is as well. Venus trine Neptune in general. What is this good for? It's for praying. And maybe you're saying, oh, I'm not really religious or whatever. Then maybe you do believe in the universe, or you do believe in nature, in the strength of nature. Well, ask nature to help you. That can be actually a form of grounding. But again, it depends on what your temperament is. And let's have a look now, after I've explained this very chaotic energy, at the same time very interesting to break down things. And remember, use it as an 18-year-old who is just in, well, almost at the end of puberty, and who wants to do new things and explore new roads. But with as people who are very young, you know, in their teens, they are full of devils, because this is their devil energy, Mars and Uranus and all of that. At the same time, they don't know the consequences. So we can use this as daring, but knowing the consequences, okay? You know, that maturity that I talked about. Enough in general. Let's go to the next video. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching, by the way.